Hello and welcome back. This is part 1 of the semester 1 math review, pre-calculus honors. If you're not in honors, you're free to watch, I guess. So we're just going to do, as the title suggests, a trigonometry review. And since the next semester or so is going to be mostly calculus, we're not going to focus on proofs and stuff like that. But I'll just review some pretty basic stuff. So if you have some trig function, just trig something, arc trig is the same as trig to the negative 1. So arc trig. Those are identical. What does that mean? Well, let's say cosine of theta equals, root 2 over 2, I guess. We could say theta equals negative cosine, or cosine in the negative 1 of root 2 over 2. So it means at what angle is this happening? So if you had, say, cosine of sine to the negative 1 of 4/5, what would that equal? Well, let's draw out a graph. Remember, cosine is this up here, sine is this up here when we're working with the negative ones. So that's positive and positive, so we're going to go right here. So this angle right here, so sine is 4/5, so that's opposite over hypotenuse. So that's 4/5. So this angle that it's at, let's just call it alpha. So it's like basically asking what is cosine of alpha, because we're asking at what angle is this 4 over 5. So at whatever angle that is, we're looking for the cosine of it. Well, if it's 4, 5, that means this has to be a 3. So the cosine of this angle will be 3/5. That's all those ask. And I know, this is just a review, but I just, I wanted to go over it. Beyond that, there's not much else that you need to know. Remember the addition and subtraction formulas for cosine of alpha, and I'm going to do plus or minus beta. Plus or minus beta. And I'll explain, how that's going to work in a second here. So remember, you got to remember psi. So that's cosine of alpha, cosine of beta. And I think that's a really good memory tip that Mr. Barry gave us. So you got alpha plus or minus beta. So this is going to be minus or plus. So if this is alpha plus beta, this is going to be a minus. If this is alpha minus beta, that's going to be a plus. Minus sine of alpha, sine beta. And that's mostly defined like, cosine of like 11 pi over 12. And you could do, you could work it out from there. With sine of alpha plus or minus beta, that equals, remember that psycho-cosine, so that's sine alpha cosine beta, plus or minus, it's the same. With sine, it's the same of sine of, and sine of beta cosine alpha here, so psycho-cosine. For tangent of alpha plus or minus beta, that's going to equal tangent of alpha plus or minus tangent of beta over 1 minus plus, so if this is plus, it's a minus. If it's minus, it's a plus. Tan of alpha, that's supposed to be an alpha. Tan of beta. So these are just, basic identities that if we see something that we could maybe change it into, it would make more sense when we're deriving. It's just stuff we should know. So cosine of theta over 2. I know these are the tough ones to remember, but I think I can make it easier. So you've got a square root, and you've got 1. Say you're not sure. It's kind of like you've got a square root and a 1 and a cosine up there. How do you remember? Well, since we can check that this is cosine, and if it is cosine, it is positive. So it's 1 plus cosine, because we're positive that this is cosine. So it's kind of a dorky memory trick. And since it's theta over 2, we can put that over 2. So it's just a way of remembering it. It's affirmative, so it's positive. Yeah. So sine of theta over 2 equals 1 cosine. And this is minus because it's not cosine, so it's 1 minus cosine. And that's not why that happens, it's just, it's an easy way to remember. Tangent of theta over 2. There are 3 ways of writing this, remember. So we have sine of theta over 1 plus cosine of theta. And these are less easy to remember, so 1 plus cosine of theta over sine of theta. Oh, excuse me, this is a minus. 1 minus cosine theta over sine of theta. And the last one that I don't really advise using is 1 minus cosine of theta over 1 plus cosine of theta. The only reason you would ever use that last one is if you forgot the other 2 and you were desperate on a test or something like that. So that's pretty much all I have for the trig review. I guess it'd be good to write down derivatives. I'm not going to do cosecant and secant, just the basic ones. So derivative of cosine of theta equals negative sine of theta. I'll just do a tick here. That's a tick mark for derivative. Derivative of sine of theta is cosine of theta, and that isn't the official marking. I'm just kind of writing it down like that. And from there you can get everything else. I guess I could do the rest, but if you just derive it any other way, it's just a way to remember it. So that's all I got. This has been part 1, and this is the trig review. Next will come limits, probably continuity with that, and then we'll get on to derivatives. So if you want to leave a like, that'd be great, but this is just for you, so do what you want. Okay, see ya.